A sick scientist kidnaps you. He plugs your brain into a machine and accurately simulates your life. Every sight you see, every sound you hear is completely fabricated by this machine. You don't notice that anything is wrong because every experience is processed through the brain. Is that still you? If you cannot tell the difference between the illusion and reality, then what reason do you have to believe that the world you experience now is real? You must think, who really are you? Yes, you're a body and a brain, you have characteristics, you have friends, you have possessions, and you are a product of your memories and personality. Those things do define you. But 5 years ago, they were all different. Even your body, almost every single cell in your body gets replaced roughly every 7 years, so clearly that isn't a core pillar defining who you are. Let's imagine a simple football squad. 11 players, they play in most matches, they do well in the season and win everything. Their best player is signed by a bigger club to retire, and the club brings free replacements for them. This exact same cycle goes on over the years, and a decade later, none of the players that were in the winning team remain. The fans are, the stadium is, and the branding is the same. But even those change over time. How can you say that this is the same club your grandparents supported? It is, however, a descendant of that. Simple. This is a classic example of the ship of Theseus, which Plutarch talked about in ancient Greece. The crew replaced each plank on the ship over the years. Is it the same? Either yes because it was treated as the same object, or no because the original materials don't remain. If someone built a second ship with the original materials, then would it become the new ship of Theseus? It's not really a question that has an answer. So we know that everything physical and biological changes, and none of that really defines your true self. So then you might point towards memories. But even those are just highlights as they blur and morph over time. You probably remember an event from when you were 6 very differently to your brother, who was also there. This is normal, you are not going crazy, it's called the Rashomon effect. And you should look into it. Only after you watch this video. You should also subscribe while you're at it. These videos do take me a long time. So we know for a fact that the brain plays tricks on you. Hallucinations are a well-documented phenomenon, and you dream every day. You might even be dreaming right now. But how would you know that? You could be dead. These could just be memories replaying themselves. There is no way of proving it. You don't know what is real. Your mind could be making everything up. The only thing you can be sure of is that your mind somewhat exists. You probably heard the quote, "I think therefore I am" by René Descartes, maybe without even knowing what it is referencing. Because these days it gets thrown around everywhere. I've known that quote since I was 4 when I thought dragons were real. The idea that nothing outside your mind is real is called solipsism, and it is impossible to disprove. It roughly translates to the self alone, and it argues that you could be alone in the vast universe and anything outside your own mind could have been created with your consciousness. It's a scary thought. Let's imagine that this was real life and I was in front of you. What do you see? It's a green apple. Light entered your eyes, signals went into your brain, and your mind interpreted that as green, round apple, creating the image itself. How can you prove that there is an actual apple there outside of your mind, than it just being an experience created within your brain? You cannot. Descartes questioned everything, and he came to the conclusion that your senses could deceive you, your thoughts could be manipulated, and you could even be dreaming. The only certainty is that your thoughts in some way do exist. A fake world would still require a thinker to think of it. You cannot experience other people's minds, so you cannot be sure that their world is the same as yours, yet alone if it exists. A very basic example is someone seeing colours differently to you. Not colour blindness, just a shuffled spectrum. We can both see that this apple from earlier is green. But what does it mean for something to be green? I promise I'm getting somewhere with this. When you were a child, someone pointed at the colour and said the word green. Same with every other colour. Same with every taste. Same with every sound. Same with every emotion. You only consider something's beautiful because you associate it with something else that someone told you was beautiful. It is the problem of qualia, where all experiences are subjective. If solipsism wasn't true and we are all conscious, then we could all just be living in different worlds. But what is the opposite of solipsism? It's realism, and it's a very creative name. Realists believe that the world exists independent of your thoughts and perceptions about it. Reality exists, even if your mind creates a different interpretation of it. Contrary to popular belief, it doesn't say that we experience reality exactly as it is. A flower on its own has no colour. It reflects a wavelength and your brain interprets it as red or yellow. It is important that in realism you understand that someone else might view it completely differently. Nobody can see electrons, gravity, or time, and yet we know that they exist because we discovered them. This is called scientific realism, where we know things exist without us being able to directly observe them. It doesn't disprove solipsism directly, as it's impossible to disprove it, and it's also impossible to prove it in a way. So that's that. But what happens if you take solipsism to its limit? If you convince yourself that you are the hero of your own story, then the world is yours. If everything takes place in your mind, then surely you would be able to manipulate it, and technically you would be omnipotent. Well, have you ever thought about someone and then you got a message from them? You think you need to buy something, then you see ads for it. Sometimes it does feel like the universe is planned around you. The world is big, and you were in the right place at the right time to meet some incredible people, for example. I'm sure. Some people use this to prove that everything is in their head. If you look at The Truman Show, Truman's whole life was a lie. Everyone in it was an actor, and he achieved freedom when he realised that. Things did exist outside of his brain, but it was all artificial to manipulate him. He interpreted everything as true, because he did not know that it was fake. If solipsism was to be true, then it could be seen as a powerful analogy for that. Even if nothing is real, you were born at the peak of human technology, when humanity accumulated thousands of years of knowledge already. Your circumstances are perfect for questioning everything. It's important to discuss these questions and look for answers. That's why you are watching this video. Questioning things is already extraordinary, as we as humans are meant to be skeptical on these things. We always search for meaning, even if it isn't inherently there. But does it matter? Pain still hurts, love is still meaningful, whether your mind is the only thing in the universe or not. It doesn't change much because this question is something that we will never know the answer to. But you can use it to reevaluate what is important to you. You know for a fact that people view the world differently. You will always be unique, and you will never be someone else. Maybe you will never prove that the world outside your mind is real. So you should look for meaning in the world which you do experience.